Okay, so it seems like recently there's been a little bit of a situation going on with one VTuber named Tomoe Umari and also another one which has been calling them out, which I have seen, kind of plastered on my feed recently, and it seems like a lot of this is kind of coming together now with it coming to a little bit of a conclusion, and that's why I'm covering it today, because, yeah, obviously, if you don't know, Tomoe is a active military member, obviously, serving for the US, right? And is very, very patriotic in the sense that, she says that she loves her country and everything. Now, she has made it clear, multiple times that this isn't, a political thing or whatever. She just loves her country, and that is essentially it, right? And I think that is very much possible, especially with a lot of the stuff going on. You can, like your country and love your country without actually getting involved in any of the politics, right? And I think that is something that maybe some people can't understand or really kind of get into their heads, right? And she's even stated it multiple times here on this post saying, I feel like I must reiterate this. I'm not interested in associating with politics as a VTuber. Yes, I love my country. No, I don't care to discuss politics. Saying this probably won't stop the nut jobs who keep trying to spark up political debates under my whimsical posts. But alas. So yeah, as you can see, she's kind of putting it there, very, very straight up. That, she's not going to discuss political kind of stuff. She just loves her country, and that is essentially it, right? And she's also posted more stuff saying, like, every time without fail that I post anything remotely patriotic, it attracts the same lot of whiny, thin-skinned bastards who don't realize I'm referring to the country itself and not anything political, but still attack me. My love of America will surely be my downfall yet. And yeah, as you can see, on her model and stuff as well, she's got like the American flag and things, which I think is totally okay. And I think it would be totally okay if it was any other country, right? If I made a VTuber model with, a whole British theme, and I'm sure there is probably some VTubers out there as well that has also done that, right? If I was to make a full British one, I feel like nobody would really have a problem with that. And the same goes for a lot of other countries as well. And a lot of people wouldn't automatically assume that I was being political. But for some reason, whenever it comes to America, people have this kind of stigma or this idea in their head that they're trying to get political when America is just like any other country, or when I say just like any other country, you get what I mean? Like the people are just like any other country where they are proud of their country regardless of the politics that are going on. It doesn't matter whether they like the politics or dislike the politics. I feel like, you can still like your country. The same, that goes on in the UK as well. A lot of people don't like, the politics that are going on in there at the moment. But at the same time, people still love the country itself and they still love, parts about it, right? And that is the thing. And obviously Tomoe doesn't want to get into that kind of stuff because at the end of the day, she's a VTuber, right? And I don't think they really want to get into politics that much unless, obviously they become a political streamer, which obviously they are not. So yeah, obviously there have been a lot of posts like that going around. And then recently there was a post from another VTuber called Moemi, and they essentially have been making a couple of posts about, Tomoe and all of this kind of stuff and all of the posts that she has been making, right? Because again, a lot of them feature like the American flag and things, right? And yeah, this is one of the posts that actually blew up pretty massively, saying, turn this industry plant horse into glue, I'm so for real. So obviously, yeah, they're going straight after her and putting this saying, another day as a morally neutral and innocent nationalist. And yeah, obviously you got the American flag and, they've got the ICE stuff down in the corner. And obviously a lot of this, all of this discussion has been escalated due to a lot of the ICE stuff. And, people assume that, she automatically supports them or whatever due to the fact that she likes America. Like, I don't think that's the case, right? You can like America and not like ICE. And again, I don't even know if she likes it or not. I don't care. It doesn't really matter. And I think kind of trying to add the two together is just stupid, right? And yeah, obviously they're trying to, poke fun at the fact that, she's kind of fence sitting or whatever, but I think it is pretty, crazy. And a lot of people are saying like, you make me embarrassed to be Canadian, shame on you, which obviously, yeah, this VTuber is Canadian apparently, and yeah, they're saying Indian detectives say, oh look, another retard whose country is screwed by immigrants. And obviously a lot of people have been kind of bringing out the political sides of things, but honestly I think the political side of things doesn't even matter in this case because she is just patriotic. And as I said, as I've repeated throughout this video, you can be patriotic without obviously going into the politics or diving into that kind of stuff, right? And that is obviously what they've been going after. They also post this saying, God, I love my country, which is Canada there, which I think is pretty interesting because, as I said, it's interesting how this, they feel like it's okay to do this, right? But they feel like it's not okay for, Tomoe to like America, right? Like, just because it's a certain country that they don't like, so apparently it's wrong. Like, what? Like, I'm so confused right now. Like, yeah, of course, like, anybody can love their country, including Canada, right? And the same with America. I think Canada and America, you know, you can love whatever country you want, and the country you're in without looking at the politics, right? Because I'm sure there's probably some stuff in, you know, Canadian politics that isn't too great either. I'm pretty sure every political kind of country has its own flaws in its own way, maybe some more than others, but, you know, it's still like one of those things, right? Where I think it's kind of, I don't know, kind of hypocritical. But again, obviously we can keep on going to the point where they actually made a video saying Tomoe Umari, a performative patriot. Now, I'm pretty sure they meant to put performative. They put preformative, which I don't think makes sense. Maybe I'm not that good at English, and maybe that does make sense, but I'm pretty sure they meant performative, which just doesn't say that there. And yeah, this is the video that they uploaded, and as you can see, it's got 87 likes and 884 dislikes, and the comments turned off, right? So you start up this discussion of calling someone a performative patriot, and then you obviously then turn off the comments for nobody to discuss this, which I think is probably, you know, kind of insane, right? You try to start up this conversation, and then you immediately shut it down by locking comments and locking any kind of conversation about this, which people have been, yeah, kind of clowning on for a little bit, because it is pretty insane, right? The fact that, you know, you can go and attack someone like this and then just go, actually, no, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want people to be in my comments, right? So obviously, then we did have a response from Tomoe as well, kind of talking about this, not like directly, but kind of just talking about the kind of hatred and stuff in general that's been going over their way, saying this is the last time I'll hopefully ever have to speak on it, but please stop saying this person needs to say something. Nobody owes you or anything, regardless of what you may believe. Let content creators make the content they want to make in peace. I think it's that simple. And yeah, obviously with these kind of posts, right, they're, you know, saying like, hey, you know, they should be speaking about ICE or whatever. No, nobody should be kind of forced to speak about whatever they want. You know, they can speak whatever they want to. You shouldn't be able to, you know, be like, oh, this person has got to speak up about this thing. You know, they don't have to. They're a VTuber. Let's be real. It's really stupid. And obviously, yeah, I think it is crazy as well. They're calling them a performative patriot too, when obviously, you know, I don't think it's very performative. But again, they go on to say, you know, pressuring, bullying people into speaking on things they're not comfortable with is just robbing them of their individual freedom. I think that's extremely evil. If you want to twist this message into me being a bad guy that deserves to die, because I know some of you will, or whatever, then sure, go ahead. I'll continue offering a chill space for my community where they can take a break from all the hecticness in the world. And obviously, that is what a lot of VTubers do, right? They provide this kind of space where people can forget about the other stuff that has been going on, especially in politics, right? People can forget about all of that stuff, and they can just enjoy something that is totally separate from that. And meanwhile, you know, obviously she does, you know, talk about the fact, you know, how much she loves her country and things, but again, that's got nothing to do with the political side of things. People saying the online culture has conditioned people to hound others until they feed into drama. It's all a ploy to make it go viral and get more clicks, even if people don't realize. They said, I'm not humoring that childish bullshit. They say, marketing yourself as a US military VTuber is political in itself. They said US military service members are encouraged to remain politically neutral in public. So this is also another thing as well, right? Is the fact that obviously Tomoe is a military kind of member, active member, right? And they are, yeah, they're not allowed to kind of state their political, I guess, biases or whatever, you know, in public. But and that is exactly, you know, what she's doing. She's not stating it. She's being neutral. And obviously some people are mad at that fact, but that is literally something that she has to do. Like, even if she wanted to, she couldn't say anything like that, which I think is pretty insane, right? And yeah, obviously a lot of people saying you have to eventually pick a side too, like it or not. There's no middle ground. It's always been that way for a long time. They said, I'm an anime woman on the internet, which is 100% true, right? And they're saying US flag in the username in the big 2026 mostly means you support the regime. I say this as someone who used to have a US flag in my username. They say it's part of my Oshi mark. I've been a VTuber for 3+ years, which again, obviously, yeah, this American flag hasn't popped up in the past like a couple months or so, whenever all of this stuff is kind of kicked off in America, right? No, it's been around for 3 years as her kind of Oshi mark. So it has nothing to do with what is going on. And if anything, you know, she put that up during a time whenever, you know, the current people in power weren't in power, which I think is even something else to say about that whenever people are trying to associate that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, you know, I feel like it is pretty neutral. I don't feel like there's any problem with this, and it doesn't seem like she's trying to push in any certain direction, and people are attacking her over that, which I think obviously is pretty disgusting, right? And obviously, some people have been talking about this over on Reddit. They're saying VTuber calls out performative patriot. They say he says this, saw this a few days ago on the subreddit, and I love VTubers. Did some research on the situation, and it feels like a case of big stream community being horrible, as well as a person who makes the whole thing of being a patriot picks and chooses when they want to be. So obviously, yeah, this person obviously against you know, Tomoe, it seems like, and obviously this got downvoted quite a bit, right? And a lot of people have been further talking about it, saying, great, all MoemiRat does is instigate bullshit out of nowhere towards Tomoe, the locking comments to try and avoid the hate. They say, seriously, screw this guy. In case anyone wants to pull up a, you know, dumb argument about her fence sitting, keep in mind she's literally in active service in the military, and talking about politics could endanger her job. Being in active duty does not mean, being in active duty means you are not a civilian. Not only that, but she isn't required to give her answer on anything that she doesn't want to. You can't force someone to talk about something that they don't want to talk about, and in Tomoe's case, they literally can't talk about it, which, yeah, is true, right? And, you know, you can see all of this stuff as well. You know, you got this, and then they post this, saying, I wonder what the quote retweets are like. There's a Tomoe Umari fan meeting. They say, I'm glad Tomoe is apolitical, and obviously, yeah, they've got some pretty crazy you know, symbols and things, as you can tell. I think that's insane that they've even, you know, decided to post that. Obviously saying, reminder, if you ever get upset at me, this is literally who you're getting upset at. Just like, bro, like, what? Okay. And then obviously you got this post, which has all the dislikes. Even the user disliked it, which I think is quite funny. And then obviously people saying, also, locking your replies because you can't take the heat is a coward's move anyways. And yeah, of course, like, if they want to call it out and just like kind of sit there and, you know, take all the replies and stuff and actually combat against this, then, you know, I think there is some kind of merit to that, but they haven't even done that, right? They've kind of locked all the replies. They've, you know, turned the comments off on that post so that they can't get that hate. And it is just a coward's way out, right? If you're going to make a statement, at least be able to take the heat that comes with it instead of, you know, kind of cowering behind the turned off comments and the replies, right? And I think that goes for a lot of other situations out there as well. You know, if you don't like the heat that comes with it, then maybe don't comment this kind of stuff, right? And I think it is, yeah, insane. Obviously, people saying, love how you blocked the comments on the thread and dismissed quote retweets, all to slam one of the least problematic VTubers rather than some truly controversial ones. Such brave, much stunning, wow, very expository, which obviously a lot of people have been liking, right? And people saying, everyone here is dumb and stupid. It's a classic and obligatory. Think how stupid the average human is. Half the people are dumber than that. They say, being an active duty means you are not a civilian, said so she can be criticized, lol. Which obviously, you know, you can be criticized and whatever, but I think at the same time, you know, they're kind of trying to imply that, you know, they can't, you know, they should talk about, you know, ICE and all of the stuff that has been going on in America when they literally cannot. They cannot state their own opinion politically on this kind of stuff. And I don't think they really want to either. I think it's a case of they don't really want to because, again, they're a funny anime woman on the internet. And B, they literally can't anyway. So I think, you know, that is the whole kind of case behind this. And I did think this, you know, situation was just stupid as a whole. I mean, after seeing this screenshot, I was just like, okay, like, really? Like, do we have to do this? And obviously, a lot of people have been pretty mad at this post, right? 'Cause it's got 750,000 views and only 2k likes, which is pretty bad, right? And obviously, yeah, Tomoe has been responding to it. And I think they've done their best in terms of responding to it. And people have been supporting them pretty heavily. So definitely go and support Tomoe because, again, I do think this situation is crazy. Nobody should be attacked for not saying anything. I think that's crazy. Obviously, you know, if you want to have a discussion with her, if she did make a comment on the stuff that's been going on, then sure, you can have a discussion about that. But, you know, for not saying anything, for not even mentioning it, for not wanting to get into politics, you can't go after someone over that because, again, they're allowed to. That's their own kind of opinion. That's their own kind of choice to not go into politics. And if that's, you know, the case, then you shouldn't, you know, go and attack them over that because that is their own choice. The same that you have your own choices to either talk about it or not talk about it, right? And I think that is the kind of, I guess, the bottom line at the end of the day. And yeah, I just thought it was pretty crazy. So I wanted to share this with you guys. But yeah, that's about all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSups, use my code Kaza, get 10% off again. They've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.